Welcome to the Jampack Report today for April the 9th of 2023. My name is Samuel Adams, and on today's show we have a ton of news to dig into, including the future of Halo being thrown into question, the rise of cloud gaming devices because there are tons on the way, some big shifts away from EA Sports FIFA to EA Sports FC, and Quantum Break is seeing some licensing issues over on the Xbox side of things. We have all these stories and more to dig into, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off today's show, we finally have the confirmation of a report that came out a couple of months ago that Joseph Staten is going to be leaving Xbox and Microsoft entirely. This news comes from Rebecca Valentine over at IGN, who writes, Joseph Staten, head of creative on Halo Infinite and cinematic director on the first 3 Halo games, is leaving Microsoft, the company has confirmed to IGN. In its message, Microsoft did not say where Staten was headed next, nor the reason he was leaving Microsoft after 9 years. They say, quote, "We are grateful for Joseph's contributions to the Halo franchise and Xbox as a whole. We wish him all the best in his new adventure." Then Staten went over and quote tweeted IGN's coverage, saying, quote, "Hey folks, I am indeed leaving Microsoft. I'll have more info to share soon, but for now, I'd just like to thank all my Xbox colleagues for all their understanding and support as I embark on a new adventure." You can't talk about Joseph Staten without talking about the impact that he's had not only on Halo, but through Halo, on gaming as a whole. I mean, as cinematic director of Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, and Halo 3, he was directly responsible for so many core gaming memories for an entire generation of players. And I think that a lot of people associate Joseph Staten and the current staff at 343 with the launch of Halo Infinite and with a game that has struggled to get out regular content updates. And right now, I kind of align with the group of people that say, since Halo Infinite isn't getting additional campaign content, it doesn't make sense for Joseph Staten to stay at this company, and I don't necessarily think that he was forced out by Xbox leadership or 343 leadership, but I do think that right now, I can't imagine it's a very fulfilling role to be working on a title that is clearly not focused on campaign content as somebody who helped create some of the most influential campaign content in gaming history. So, what I hope for Joseph Staten going forward is that he finds a role within a company that allows him to really stretch his creativity, that allows him to get back to building these monumental experiences that are unforgettable. Because if you look at what happened with Halo Infinite's campaign, it seems like it was a forced open world experience that was kind of a conglomeration of years of work that needed to get out of the door and that finally got to the finish line, and they just said, let's launch it, we'll fix it from there. I mean, a few months later we had campaign co-op and only on the network, for example, just things like that that kind of soured the launch of Halo Infinite and soured the experience that Halo Infinite is. Even now, we're coming into Season 3, and we're in the middle of Season 3. We've gotten a significant amount of maps to date, but in comparison to other live service games that are on the market right now, there has been a trickle of content coming out for Halo Infinite fans, and again, that's just on the multiplayer side. So for Joseph Staten being head of creative, at this point, he's working on a game that is putting out multiplayer updates, that's putting out weekly multiplayer skins for Spartans, that's putting out the skin packs, that's potentially putting out some Twitch drops. It's just a live service game, and I don't necessarily imagine that Joseph Staten is probably very satisfied with what he's doing right now. Again, that's just me reading into the situation, seeing what he's done before and what he would potentially be doing now. But again, this is somebody who helped create so many foundational moments in Halo history. And on top of that, while he was still at Bungie, he helped write some of that foundational content for Destiny. I mean, that is some monumental world building that this man has done, and Destiny has become one of the biggest games in the world. Destiny 2 is still huge, and while Joseph Staten didn't work on Destiny 2, he certainly helped build that first part of the world that helped launch Destiny into what it is today. So as somebody who has had that amount of pull in the gaming industry, he deserves to give, or he deserves to be given a shot to build whatever he wants, to put a world together that is going to be just as impressive going forward. And so I'm excited to see where Joseph Staten ends up. I gotta say though, it's a loss for Xbox and it's a loss for Halo, because this dude is just foundational. I know I keep bringing that word up, but he is built into the essence of what Halo is, and he helped build Halo into what it is today. And so for him to not be in it going forward is going to leave a really weird gap, I think. And it throws, for me, the future of Halo into question, because right now they're going through a bit of an identity crisis. What is Halo in 2023? From my perspective, it is a live service game that's putting out multiplayer updates and battle passes. It's kind of the way that I see Halo. In 2025 or 2026, is it going to get back to a campaign? What is the Certain Affinity game going to be, where they're working in partnership with that company to help put something together that very well could have evolved into its own game? Maybe something like a Halo ODST kind of experience. I don't know. But I just need to know where they're going with this, what the idea is, what the vision is for the future of Halo. And right now, I don't know if anybody at 343 has that fully put together. So I'm looking forward to the future. You know, I'm a diehard Halo fan through and through. I've got the Energy Sword behind me. I've got a couple of statues, the Halo 3 Legendary Edition. I love the franchise, but they've got to figure out what they want. And I feel like leaving Joseph Staten behind may not necessarily be the most healthy option for the future of Halo. But it's an option that has been made, and again, I'm excited to see Joseph Staten really throw his all into a new project, maybe be picked up by another big AAA development studio of some kind to write something great. And I think there's still more juice in the tank. He's got a lot left to give, so looking forward to the future for him. Looking forward to seeing what 343 does with the future of Halo. But I'll tell you who's not concerned about Halo. That's Sony. What they are concerned about is Microsoft specifically, because according to Tom Warren over at The Verge via Twitter, Sony has responded to the CMA siding with Microsoft over Call of Duty on PlayStation concerns and calls the CMA's reversal of its position surprising, unprecedented, and irrational. Now, if you don't know what we're talking about here, the entire saga of Microsoft trying to acquire Activision-Blizzard would take hours to explain, but in short, the CMA in the UK has reversed their position because originally they said that it could create some anti-competitiveness within the gaming industry. Then, after looking at the guidance the Microsoft provided, the additional evidence the Microsoft provided, and third parties provided as well, they have reversed their decision, saying that it would not create any kind of issues. Now Sony is reacting to that, once again saying it is surprising, unprecedented, and irrational. Now Tom Warren goes on with additional coverage saying Sony is still arguing that Microsoft could sabotage Call of Duty on PlayStation, and even points out Digital Foundry comparisons, forum discussions, and more. I want to reiterate, Microsoft has said they are not going to sabotage a version of Call of Duty on PlayStation. They are not going to reserve it and release it as a Game Pass exclusive. They have offered it up to be included on other services. They have said they are not going to have any kind of cloud exclusivity. They have signed multiple different contracts with cloud gaming providers of every size. Microsoft is addressing the concerns that the regulators are pointing out, and quite frankly, I think that's upsetting Sony. I think it's upsetting that Microsoft has an answer to every question they bring up, because what people don't understand or seem to forget about these conversations that are happening on social media is that Sony is hiring a team of lawyers whose job it is to address these concerns, and point out flaws and issues. And Microsoft's job is to address those and make sure that everything is on the up and up across the board, not only for, competitors who have concerns, of which Sony is not the only one, but also with regulators around the world, the FTC, the CMA, any kind of European regulatory bodies. I know Argentina, I think, was another one. Brazil was another one. I believe Japan was another one. Approvals are coming in across the board. Some also have questions. The FTC is going to have questions. The CMA had questions. And so right now, Microsoft is doing a great job of showing, hey, we think we can take this Activision-Blizzard entity, make cool games, bring benefit into our company by additional revenue streams without taking a ton away from other gamers around the world. Call of Duty will remain on other platforms. What is the future of potentially other Activision-Blizzard games? Time will tell. But I think that right now, this deal is still on track more than ever to go through. I think that Microsoft is, again, doing a great job of playing politician, and they have great experience doing that because there have been some anti-competitive allegations thrown at the company before. Lawyers have come in, made changes, made arguments, and Microsoft has gotten out scot-free. They have experience in this. And again, as somebody who is an Xbox fan, an Xbox player, I have faith in Microsoft to do right by Activision-Blizzard and to do right by all of the IP that are under that umbrella, because that is an incredibly powerful catalog that they're going to have control of. And right now, I think that Activision-Blizzard is so focused on printing money that they are leaving awesome opportunities on the table. I mean, right now, if you think about Activision-Blizzard, you've got your World of Warcrafts, your Overwatch, Diablo, of course, things like that are coming out from the Blizzard side. But on the Activision side, aside from publishing deals, I mean, the biggest one is Call of Duty. Just about every studio under the Activision-Blizzard banner that wasn't working on a Blizzard game seemed to be working on a Call of Duty game. And so you have the other projects here and there. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater coming out a couple of years ago. You have the Crash Bandicoot games that are coming out from time to time, but outside of those, just Call of Duty. So to see Activision-Blizzard come into the Xbox umbrella and for Phil to be talking about bringing back, things like StarCraft potentially, to be revitalizing these old franchises that people love, I think at that point they will have the capacity and the wallet to not only continue putting out new Call of Duty content, but to potentially reevaluate what Call of Duty looks like on an annual basis, to potentially reevaluate what all of these teams are working on and revitalize stuff that could add some diversity into the gaming mix, to where it's not just Call of Duty at the front of the pack, but it is Call of Duty and this or and that. And so that's what I'm excited about the most, is not only the better work environment potentially for the teams in Activision-Blizzard, potentially getting Bobby Kotick out of that leader seat, but also I would love to see additional franchises come back, additional games see the light of day that may not see the light of day in the current state of things over at Activision-Blizzard. For instance, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare 2. We could have seen that. We could see that in the future. Only time will tell. But according to an interview with MinMax, Brett Robbins, former senior creative director at Sledgehammer Games, said that Advanced Warfare 2 was in development, and this coverage comes from DualShockers. Now, if you can read the title here, if you're watching the video version of the show, instead of Advanced Warfare 2, the team pivoted and went over to Call of Duty World War II. WW2 for those that like the abbreviations, which was a fine game, a beautiful game, one of the best looking ones in the franchise, but Advanced Warfare 2 was in development. And if you aren't familiar with Advanced Warfare, it is heralded by many to be one of the best Call of Duties in the franchise from a campaign story perspective. It really drove it home. And of course, Kevin Spacey took one of the lead roles as the antagonist. Kevin Spacey obviously has a lot of allegations thrown out there against him. But what I will say is the acting that is in Advanced Warfare, unlike anything else in Call of Duty. Truly phenomenal cinematic stuff. And so, as reported on here by DualShockers, in a recent interview with MinMax, Brett Robbins, former senior creative director at Sledgehammer Games, spoke of two projects that were in the works there before his departure, but never got to see the light of day, one of them being Call of Duty Advanced Warfare 2. The original Advanced Warfare, which was Sledgehammer's debut title, launched in 2014, and apparently after the game's release, the team quickly got to work on its sequel. Robbins stated that they even had a demo and a prototype, but eventually the tide shifted, the project was shelved, and Sledgehammer started development on what would eventually become 2017's Call of Duty World War II. He says, quote, World War II had a comeback, and it felt better, World War II had come back, and it felt like a better opportunity. He admitted that there was some degree of executive pressure at Activision to shift gears into an older style of warfare, but he explained that when it was taken to the team, many developers were interested in the idea of going back to that time period. Quote, I'm glad we did World War II, Robin stated, but he also feels, quote, Advanced Warfare 2 would have been awesome. I fully agree. I think that Advanced Warfare is one of those sub-franchises of Call of Duty that I want to see come back. And I was talking about this on a TikTok live stream a couple of days ago, but right now we're going through this transitional cycle where World War II had come back in a big way with Call of Duty World War II, with Battlefield 1, which brought back World War I, but then also Battlefield 5, which kind of brought back that World War II. And so that traditional style of combat that originally brought first-person shooters into focus back in the early 2000s was back in the limelight once again. Then people got really tired of seeing old school MP5s and the variant like M14s, things like that. I'm probably throwing around a whole bunch of guns that aren't actually relevant for that time period, but the traditional kind of rifles, the Einfelds, for example, they got sick of seeing that kind of stuff. And so then we shifted into this kind of more modern focus that we're in right now, where 2019's Modern Warfare came out, Battlefield 2042 came out. You have things like Escape from Tarkov that have that similar kind of modern feel to them. And of course, now we have Modern Warfare 2 as well. But what we're looking forward to in the future is potentially seeing that futuristic period come back, where again, 2014's Advanced Warfare, we then had Infinite Warfare. We had a couple of other space shooters in there along the way. I'm ready for some future again. I think that that's just the cyclical nature of the gaming franchise, or gaming franchises, I guess you could say, where people like to feel something a little bit unique. But I don't know if we necessarily need wall running and zero gravity again. I'm just ready for something new, because right now I feel like the modern warfare, the traditional modern day combat, it's getting a little bit worn out again. We've had it for a number of years now. It would be cool to see something that brings back unique looking eyesights, or I should say iron sights, unique looking guns, potentially different types of guns, ray guns, for example. That kind of stuff takes you out of the realism a little bit, but it also could be grounded like Advanced Warfare was. It was very realistic. It was believable. And I like that kind of thing. So we'll see what comes of this story. I would love to see Advanced Warfare 2 eventually come to be a reality, but only time will tell. I'm not holding my breath, because I think the modern combat stuff is doing incredibly, incredibly well. But speaking of the future, cloud gaming seems to be it, because multiple companies are getting in on it right now, including, as reported on by Insider Gaming, even Sony. Tom Henderson over at Insider Gaming writes, exclusive, Sony's next PlayStation handheld. Following days of speculation, Insider Gaming can report there is a new PlayStation handheld in development, codenamed the Q-Lite. The next PlayStation handheld is the next piece of Sony hardware that aims to be yet another piece of hardware that requires the PlayStation 5. Insider Gaming understands that the Q-Lite is not a cloud streaming device, but instead uses remote play with the PlayStation 5, a feature that the console giant has been pushing these past couple of weeks. So once again, to reiterate, this is not necessarily a directly cloud streaming device in the same way that you see something like the Logitech G Cloud. This is something that requires a PS5 for remote play. Now, this came out in the same exact week that we see talk about the Asus ROG Ally, or the Asus ROG Ally, I should say, Republic of Gamers, and this is basically a competitor to the Steam Deck. Now, there is not a price nor a release date yet, but it does pack a higher refresh rate screen with 120 Hz. It does pack the ability to not only play gaming PC games, but also cloud streaming games. And we see the exact same scenario coming with the Razer Edge. Now, this comes from Brian Crescenti, who is a phenomenal writer. If you haven't checked out his work, you absolutely should. But this is a new device coming from Razer that basically uses some Kishi Pro V2 controllers on the sides of a new tablet that has a 144 Hz screen. I believe it's 2440p by 1080p, so full HD and then some. But it also has access to the Google Play Store, as well as cloud gaming devices, or cloud streaming devices, I should say, like the Xbox Cloud Gaming, like any kind of remote play for PlayStation. Things like that are accessible on this device. And so right now, you're seeing a renaissance of remote play and cloud streaming, where the processing isn't necessarily done on the device itself. It's done through the cloud or through the internet on a different device. And so the same thing with the ROG Ally. You could play your Steam games on a gaming PC on this handheld via streaming, or you could play them in and of it themselves. Just download them directly to the device. So right now is not only a renaissance of these cloud gaming devices, it's a renaissance of handheld gaming, because I think that from the cell phone controllers that are becoming more and more popular, the Backbone, the Razer Kishi, once again, anything like that, those have been on the market and have been growing in popularity, but now people want some dedicated cloud gaming devices that have a bit of power, that could potentially play popular mobile games like League of Legends, because there is a mobile version of that out. I believe it's Wild Rift, if I remember correctly. On top of that, Call of Duty Mobile is a very popular one. Other ones are coming coming around, Diablo Immortal, for example. People want to play that, but they also want to be able to do cloud streaming. They also want to be able to go in and stream devices that they already own to their handheld. And I can tell you that's something that would absolutely be appealing to me. And it wouldn't have been a couple of years ago. For example, right now, if Netflix is being taken on the main TV in the living room, it would be awesome to stream my gaming PC directly to a handheld without it necessarily being my phone. And I speak for myself when I say that if I'm playing a game on my phone, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get distracted by a notification or something. You could put it into focus mode, but let's say you forget. You'll end up clicking through, seeing what's going on Twitter. Lo and behold, your gaming's been interrupted. You go down a rabbit hole and you never get back to it. So that's one of the downfalls of having a phone that does gaming or a phone that you game on versus a dedicated device where it is just something you are playing, something like a Nintendo Switch, but with a little bit more of a beefy processor in it, like the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck, or potentially something that's powered entirely by cloud gaming, like somewhat the Logitech G Cloud is, which is one that I've had my eye on for a while. Haven't gone all in on that yet. For Sony's device specifically, again, assuming this report is valid, this is a tough sell. And I've got to say, I'm not following the process of what PlayStation is trying to do here. I'm not fully understanding the strategy because they're investing tons of money into PlayStation VR 2, which right now seems to be somewhat of a flop, just calling it the way that I see it. You also have this potential investment in a handheld gaming device that isn't a PlayStation Vita 2, that isn't a dedicated handheld device, but that is instead a remote play device on the PlayStation 5. What is the price point of that going to be? Because if it's anything beyond $200 maybe, it's going to be a tough sell, and it's still got to have a bit of beef to it to be able to perform in a way that makes it a better choice than just playing remote play on your phone. They've got to do something special with it, and so I'm excited to see where they go with this out of sheer morbid curiosity, because I don't see that being a big selling point for a lot of people. And I think another thing to talk about with remote play is that it is something that requires a good internet connection. 5G is great, but if you have bad 5G or only 2 bars or something like that, you're not really going to have a great time with it. It's much better on a local connection. It's much better if you are just playing at a different location in your house. So if your PlayStation 5 is downstairs, you want to go to the bedroom in the far right part of the house upstairs, sure, cloud gaming or a remote play device would be perfect for that. But outside of that scenario, it's not going to be ideal. And so is that really going to be worth, I would imagine, $200 to $300 for somebody to invest whenever they also have to invest in a $400 to $500 PlayStation 5? You could say it's for that hardcore, already purchased a PS5 consumer, and that very well could be the case. I just don't know if that's worth this additional R&D investment, or if potentially they are preparing for the future of something else and this is just one step in the process. Only time will tell, but it's a really interesting time. Cloud gaming is taking off, remote play is taking off, and we'll see if it sticks around because we've seen a lot of trends come and go through the most recent couple of years. And this very well could be a trend, or it could be something that's around for the long haul. Out of all 3 of these devices we talked about here today, though, I've got to say, the Razor's Edge, or I should say the Razor Edge. The Razor's Edge is an AC/DC album, which you should totally check out. The cloud gaming device and the gaming device is the Razor Edge, is the most appealing to me. I think this is the one that definitely has my attention. And if anything, I could just buy the controllers and snap them onto the sides of my phone. But for the record, hard to find a controller set that works really well for the iPhone 13 mini. So if anybody has any recommendations, leave them in the comment section on YouTube, and I would love to see what you've got to say. One game you could be playing on cloud gaming or remote play could be EA's FIFA. Ooh, wait. It's not FIFA anymore now, is it? This is EA Sports FC. This is the new branding for FIFA. And if you don't know, you haven't caught up with this story, EA and FIFA had a licensing disagreement where FIFA was wanting too much money to continue partnering with EA Sports to create the annualized FIFA series, which has continually printed more and more money year after year. So EA said, we're going to make our own thing. FIFA said, oh yeah, well, we're going to make our own thing. We don't know too much about either of these games, but considering that EA Sports has been the development mind behind FIFA, you can almost guarantee they are going to be the premier spot to play your football games this year. With FIFA, they very well could find an additional partner that's just as good at making sports games and pump something out. But EA is still the industry leader when it comes to sports games, so I think that's going to be a very difficult discovery process for FIFA to find that out and to find a good partner for that. But what it seems like is an NBA Live versus NBA 2K kind of situation that's coming together, where NBA Live was always kind of the second-rate basketball game, while NBA 2K was the one that was always dunking on the competition, pun intended. And so I think that's probably what's going to happen here with EA Sports FC and FIFA's game that's coming up. But very interesting stuff. I do want to pull up, let's see, Twitter, EA Sports FC. I know that they also revealed their branding, and here it is. You can check this out here, but this is your first look at what this is actually going to look like. So what they did is they took the triangle that's above the players' heads in all these recent FIFA games, pretty much across its entire history, and they made an FC logo out of it. I think this looks awesome, and I think it looks sporty. I think this is something that very well could stick because it's got great branding, and it's clear that they are still using that foundational FIFA experience that people know to say, hey, this is the game you know and love. It's just got a bit of a different look to it. And so they write on Twitter, join the club. We can't wait to show you the future of football this July. So more info is pending. 6.1 million views on this tweet. Got 13.6K likes on it. Adidas says we're ready. EA Sports F1 says it's lights out and away we go. MLS is replying to them with some hype. Those are some massive partners. And so one of the questions is, whenever we go to the website, they've stood up for this. They say learn more this July, the world's game. You've got all these partners that are scrolling across the screen right now. Whenever it comes down to it, FIFA is a big name in football, as well as EA Sports is. Where are people going to align their loyalty? Are the players going to sign contracts with EA Sports or FIFA? Is that something that's up in the air? Are these leagues going to sign with one or the other? Because inevitably, if there is a division, there is going to be a division between the contracts that are signed, a division between these partnerships. I can't imagine that both games are going to have everything. And it seems like based on these icons that are shown off here, EA Sports is locking down a ton of partnerships, and they actually say that as one of their talking points. They have a ton of outstanding, long-standing partnerships. So with Premier League, for example, that's being thrown in there, MLS being thrown in there, I think EA Sports is lined up to win this year, and I think FIFA is going to quickly realize that they have made a massive mistake, because once it's been done, you can't undo it. And I don't know if they fully understand that, but once they've said, we no longer want to partner with you, and EA Sports spends tons of money putting together this new branding, revitalizing their website, revitalizing their overall soccer brand, that's done and done. FIFA getting back into it, highly unlikely, because now EA Sports has established this. They've made it work. They have moved on. It's almost like a breakup in a way. And so I'm excited to see what this game looks like. If I had to bet, going to be more FIFA, just with a different kind of name to it, but an absolutely massive shift in the world of sports. So I'm excited to learn more. I'm not thinking it's going to be a good day for FIFA, but wow. What a major shift in the gaming space that I never would have seen coming a couple of years ago. I mean, you think about FIFA and EA Sports, that seems like peanut butter and jelly. Imagine jelly saying they don't want to work with peanut butter anymore. Wild stuff. But jumping over to the next story. Silent Hill looks like it's quickly on the way, or I should say Silent Hill 2's remake, because the Steam page has changed its release date to coming soon after the Bloober Team CEO said it is technically ready. This comes from thegamer.com, where they say, we still don't know when the Silent Hill 2 remake is coming out, but as spotted by Aesthetic Gamer on Twitter, the Steam page updated its release date from TBA to be announced to coming soon only a couple of days ago. Quote, I've released several dozen small games on Steam and know Steam's inner workings pretty well. Steam sometimes does mass auto updates to store pages, but this was an internal SH2 pushed update by whoever's in charge of the store page. This could mean a couple of things. Either coming soon was added as a vague indicator on the Steam page with no actual concrete date behind it, or whoever is in charge of the page added a release date automatically triggering the coming soon update, which is often used to cover up that information. Either way, Silent Hill 2 might be out sooner than we expected. So I've got to say, we're coming up on the summer gaming news season. We've got a lot of these events on the way. I think that Silent Hill 2 could very well be a June release. that could be very soon. I could also see this being something that's coming in the fall, where they do auto update with a release date that's maybe for August or September. I will say, though, Silent Hill 2 is currently a PlayStation exclusive. It's going to launch as a console exclusive on PlayStation side of things. It is also coming to PC, as we see with the Steam page being updated, but I don't have faith this is going to do the original game justice. And I don't want to undermine the work the Bloober team does, because I think the medium was very good. They've done a lot of other games that are very good in the horror space. I just don't know if they can live up to the expectations that the Silent Hill fans have, because Bloober Team's games always have this certain level of jank that takes you out of the world a little bit. I'm not saying that it's going to be a failure. I'm just saying I don't know if they can hit that level that they need to hit to really make sure that they're firing on all cylinders across the board with all of the entire fan base. So I'm excited to learn more about this, see the release date, see some gameplay. If it comes to Xbox eventually, I will end up checking it out and playing it. I did not grow up as a Silent Hill fan. I don't really care that much about Silent Hill. I just know the cultural impact of Pyramid Head, for example, things like that. But I'm happy to see Silent Hill 2 getting a remake. It's just yet to be proven to me the Bloober team was the right team to make it. So we will see, time will tell, but it looks like Silent Hill 2 could be on the way sooner than we might have expected. And of course, one game that is on the way once again is Quantum Break, because it looks like it's coming back after a licensing issue took it away from not only Game Pass, but also the Microsoft Store. If you've been worried about losing access to one of the more unique games in Microsoft's gaming subscription library, your fears might be eased at least a little, writes Samuel Tolbert over at Windows Central. Microsoft confirmed Xbox Dynasty that a recent listing on the Xbox Game Pass tab would show the 2016 action-adventure title Quantum Break was leaving the service is pending due to current licensing issues. Negotiations are apparently underway already, and if resolved, the game is expected to return. A handful of first-party games such as Forza have left Xbox Game Pass due to licensing restrictions. Details of what this means for Quantum Break in the long term are scarce, but we have reached out directly to Microsoft and will expand with any further information as and when we hear from them. The question is, what kind of licensing issues are we talking about here? It very well could be actor stuff, although that seems unlikely. Music stuff, potentially. Maybe a specific type of gun manufacturing thing that had to be signed. I don't know what exactly they could have in store here, but I have full faith Microsoft will work this out because it seems like there isn't anything in the game that I remember that very well could be outstanding, unless it's the late great actor Lance Reddick, I believe was his name, that passed away. He was also in Destiny and a couple of big TV shows, as well as a starring role in Quantum Break. So potentially he's working, or their team is working with his manager or his team for licensing on that. That's something that came to mind for me. So we'll see when this game comes back. If and when it comes back, if you haven't played Quantum Break, you absolutely should. It was one of those games that I dove into towards the end of the Xbox One X generation, where they did have a little bit of an improvement in performance for that version of the game, and I loved my time with it. Very cool time mechanics there. Kind of reminiscent a little bit of Singularity. They came out back on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, although not quite as in-depth as Singularity was. There were some time mechanics in there that you could make things old, new, kill guys with time. Very cool game that one was. But Quantum Break looks like it's on the way back, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. And when it comes back, you could dive in with a brand new Xbox controller that's made of some recycled materials to celebrate Earth Month and Earth Day, which is coming up very quickly. The new Xbox Wireless Controller Remix Special Edition is made partly from reclaimed CDs, water jugs, and other controllers' parts, which, if you think about it, kind of weird. Just kidding. It sounds kind of cool, but just imagine being made from another controller part, just recycled like that. Wild times. Kidding, it's really cool. We aspire to create a future of gaming in a world that we want to play in. Earth Day is just around the corner, and it provides all of us with a special opportunity to reflect on how we can improve our impact on the planet. To celebrate this year, we've created an Xbox controller that features recovered plastic with 1/3 of it made from regrind and reclaimed materials. Mixing post-consumer recycled resins with regrind consisting of previously molded colored parts creates custom earth tone colors with subtle variations, swirling, markings, and texturing, giving each Remix Special Edition controller its own look and feel. Regrind is the process of mechanically recycling leftover Xbox One generation controller parts into a raw material that can be used to partially create new controllers while maintaining durability and performance. Post-consumer recycled resins are incorporated from reclaimed materials like automotive headlight covers, plastic water jugs, and CDs. By incorporating these regrind materials, post-consumer recycled resins, and including the Xbox rechargeable battery pack, Xbox is exploring ways to use less plastic and reduce waste. Our goal is to bring fans along with us on our journey towards greater sustainability across Xbox product portfolio. Visit this new Xbox Sustainability Hub to learn more about our commitments and explore a collection of controllers that use less new plastics. We drew inspiration from natural landscapes and the physical world around us when redesigning the Remix Special Edition controller. The various earth tone colors create a patchwork effect featuring bright pops of color that create a vibrant yet serene vibe. The bright green Xbox button, D-pad, and front case color are inspired by lichen found in the Pacific Northwest. I believe it's lichen, actually. I think it's lichen. The bumpers, triggers, and side grip areas feature a topographic texture pattern, a nod to Earth's dynamic landscape, while maintaining the tacticality that our customers like. Tactility? I think it's tactility. That's a new word for me. Either way, I love the way this controller looks. Looks like it's got a bit of a texture on the side of it, kind of woody tones on the grips with some water on the back and some green earthy tones on the front. I gotta say, I might pick this one up. Now, as far as the battery pack that comes with it goes, it is rechargeable, and a full charge will last up to 4 hours and up to 30 hours of battery life per charge. Or I should say, it will charge for up to 4 hours and last for up to 30 hours per charge. Very cool there. And of course, you've got your 3.5mm headphone jack. All of that good stuff works with Xbox, Xbox One, Windows 10 and 11, all that good stuff. And it's going to run you $85. Now, keep in mind that also includes the price of the rechargeable battery pack. So it is going to be pretty much priced at MSRP value for the majority of controllers that come out today, with that additional battery pack included with it that's going to up that price just a tad. Overall, I think $85 is a pretty good price for it. Whenever I go into the store, though, if I just need an Xbox controller, probably going to be picking up one of the white ones or the black ones that typically are on sale for like $55. So I don't know if this is going to appeal to the mass gaming audience. I don't think this is going to become the go-to choice. So if the goal was really to create a controller that is going to be a new sustainable go-to option for people, I don't know if this one's the one. But if you are looking for a new controller, you do want the rechargeable batteries, for example, this could be a no-brainer, especially with a cool look like this. So if I end up picking one up, it'll pretty much be just for aesthetic purposes. I picked up the Lunar Shift controller last fall, which I really enjoy, but I'm always in the market for a new one. And you might be saying, Sam, why do you need a new one? Do you have a lot of people over to play games with? Do you enjoy gaming co-op on the couch with other people? No. I pretty much just used one controller. I used the Xbox 20th anniversary controller for like a year straight. I got the Lunar Shift controller, played with that for a long time, still play with that one today, and occasionally I will pick up the white one, but I love the look of this one. I love a good texture grip on the back, and of course, sustainability, very cool little feature there as well. So if you do want to pick one up, $85, and I believe it's launching in just a couple of weeks, so we will see how people react when it launches on, there we go, April the 18th. But that rounds out this week's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed the show and you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube or add the show to your podcast feed of choice and get it delivered straight to you each and every Sunday. It's always a pleasure making it, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. Of course, if you want gaming news throughout the week, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram Reels, even Twitter, giving some hot takes. Wherever you look, you can find me at Jampack Sam. But until next week, you guys have a fantastic one, and as always, keep on playing.